I figured I'd move the camera a lot closer this time because I realized I say this every single time. I'm doing this for me primarily, but sometimes people ask what's going on with the bees, what it's like to work with bees, and so it's just fun for me to stream it because I get to keep the video and have a clue what I did from week to week. And if anyone wants to watch in, you can watch in. So this is super quick because 2 weeks ago I came out here and I streamed it thinking it's going to be pretty quick. This hive, for like the 1,000th time, this is one of 2 hives I've had last year. I've said this a few times now. The hive that's to the left of me here has survived now through 3 seasons. It was a swarm that I caught from somebody. It just showed up in the spring on one of the trees out here, and I caught the swarm. And the queen has since left, but just the cycle of queens and brood has been strong. And so that hive has survived. This hive came from that one last spring. So I split the hive, created this one, built it up through the summer. Thought it was really strong. And honestly, even through the early spring, we had a couple nice days in February. And I even caught in, and I was surprised how many bees were in here. I was actually really encouraged. And then about 3 weeks ago, maybe 4, I was gone for a few days. I came home, and this hive had essentially almost died. I noticed during a warm, a sunny day, there was no hives, no bees coming in and out. There are a few coming in and out here now. They're coming and going right now. And so that was a hint that something was wrong. I opened it up, and there was almost no bees. They're just all dead. And then I saw on one frame maybe like 100 bees, and I saw the queen. And so I really have been trying to do everything I can to keep this hive going, because a queen, the way a beehive works quickly is this. The hive makes a new queen if they need it. And so if the queen dies and there were bees in here, for instance, or I were to take bees from that hive and split it so I start a whole new hive, the bees have to create a queen. And that queen will hatch so from that moment, so that they have to do it from within 2 or 3 days of an egg being laid. They select an egg, they feed it really well. That becomes a queen. So that takes, just shy of 2.5 weeks for the queen to emerge. Then the queen hangs out for a few days, and then the queen flies away to try and mate. But it's so early in the spring, there's almost no drone male bees. And so even if I were to try and split a hive at that moment, we're now talking easily 5-6 weeks until you start to see new brood, because the queen has to be hatched, she has to go mate, she has to come back, she has to start laying eggs, and then it takes another 3 weeks, if she mates successfully, to come back, lay eggs, the brood gets raised. So it's a huge, long process. So if I can keep this queen alive by transferring bees and eggs over here and keep her going, I've shortened that distance to growing this hive by weeks. That's the whole goal. So 2 weeks. So I came home 3.5 weeks ago, found the situation, quickly moved this box from that hive to this hive. I flip-flopped them, and it had a whole bunch of bees in it. And my goal at that point was just warmth. Could I keep enough bees to keep her alive, essentially? That did help. I got another week out of it, but just with the cold weather and so forth, most of those bees died. So 2 weeks ago, I came out here. I streamed it thinking it was going to be really quick. My goal was I was simply going to take a frame or two of, as long as she was still alive, I was going to take a couple frames of brood, so capped bees that are growing and ready to be hatched within like 2.5 weeks, maybe a week and a half. I was going to move 1 or 2 of those frames over here with some bees, as long as the queen was alive, hope that they accept her, and we start the cycle. So that's what I did. It ended up being like an hour-long stream because it did not go as smoothly as I wanted. Such is the life of working with bees. But I did it, and I've been watching the hive externally. I really quickly got in here maybe a week ago, or actually it was like 2 or 3 days later, just to see if the queen was still alive. And I'm fairly certain that I found new eggs, which means, so I saw her, and it means that she's laying eggs. So that's the goal. I just want to check this out. And so what's been happening is the hive is getting more active. So the way the bees work, and you can see they're coming in and out. And I'm going to move the camera and actually show you what's going on. That's why I moved the camera closer so you can see. So I probably don't need much smoke. Again, it's spring. There's a few bees right up here, and this is what happens. So this is the lid, and do that. So this is still up top here, honey. And I got to get my little tool. And I'm going to bring gloves over here. I may put the gloves on. I got stung a few times last week. So, all right, there's some bees on the lid. That just means they're crawling around. You can see them crawling around. They're having a good time. So that means that in the second attempt, by adding more bees over here, there are actually a fair number of bees in here. So here's what happens. I moved over 2 frames. Each one of these is a frame of what we call brood. So they're eggs that have been laid. They've been capped over, so the eggs are growing into bees. I put them in here, and then they hatch over time. What happens is the bees that are currently nursing them, the ones that are on the frame, as they get older, they start to fly out to go get supplies. That's the last job a worker bee has in a hive. When they're born, the first thing to do is start to take care of the eggs in the brood and clean up and so forth. And then after a few days, they start to build comb and do some of those things. And then they become nursing bees and so forth. And the last job they have is they start to fly out. So I expected that I would set the frames in here, maybe had 1,000 bees on it. I expected within a week or so to see more and more bees start to come out because those bees are now becoming forager bees and going out to get things. So there's a lot of bees in here, which tells me a couple things. At least the brood that I had in there, so you can see there, crawling around happily. Now this is all honey up here, so they're having a good time, eating and doing what they need to do. So I'm going to quickly do 2 things. I'm just going to pull a frame or 2 out from up top because I want to see if by chance the queen is laying any eggs up here. I don't think she is, but I just want to know that. And so I'm going to put some smoke on there just to make sure they're happily inside. All right, so you'll notice I mostly have wooden frames, but there are some plastic frames in here. And so because I have no separation between the frames, so they're eating a lot of the honey. The honey has all gotten, with the warm weather we've gotten, it's solidified. And I don't yet, so I'm looking down inside the comb holes for any hint of eggs that the queen is laying. And I don't see that. So at this point, although it does seem like they're starting to set it up to lay eggs. And here's how I know. Bees will lay eggs in the center of the frame. On the next outer edge, they will put pollen because I need pollen for protein and aminos and so forth. And then they'll leave honey on the corners as energy to feed to the larva. So they're eating this honey out, and it appears to me that they're preparing it for laying eggs. But I don't see any evidence of eggs yet. And so they haven't done it yet, but it could very well be that they're really getting ready for that. And they're doing that on all of these frames. I can see pretty directly. I'm going to pull 1 or 2 more out, and then we'll get down inside. So here's what I'm happy about. I really just wanted to do this quickly tonight because we're going to get rain this weekend. So I see no evidence of eggs in there either. So let me show you one more. So again, most of these frames 2 weeks ago, this box was mostly honey. It was all honey. And most of these frames are pretty well full. So like this frame I'm pulling out right now, it's probably about 10 pounds worth, maybe not quite 10 pounds of honey. So it's pretty full. I don't see any, they're just doing the same thing. So they're eating the honey from the bottom out. It's hard because there's a lot of bees on here. So it's hard to see exactly what's going on. I also don't see the queen up here, but I don't yet see evidence of any eggs being laid up here. So let me show you 2 things, and then we'll get down into the next hive. So make sure I don't squeeze a bee and get stung. So one other thing that's happening, it is spring. These, see if I have this in frame, I do. So these little things underneath that you'll see, they're actually what we call not queen cells, they're queen cups. So you see there's a little hole in the bottom of each of them, and they're on the bottom part of a frame. The bees are making those to prepare for when they might need to create a queen. So as spring comes on, if they start to feel too packed in here, there's a lot of bees in here. From 2 weeks ago when I put the frame in, I'm shocked at how many bees are in here. So I am, at this moment at least, pretty thankful for what seems to have happened. And I say this to all new beekeepers. I didn't do this my first year, but having at least 2 hives when you start beekeeping is really beneficial, because I could not have tried to save this hive if I didn't have another healthy one that I could take resources from. And so the only reason I might end up with 2 pretty decent hives heading into May is because I had a strong hive that I could take from it and a queen that survived. So, okay. So they'll build those queen cups if they start to feel like they're getting too packed in there. The queen feels like she's, there's just not enough space. They will prepare to split. And before they split, which means half the hive goes away and they find a new home, we try and prevent that. If I see that they're going to split, I will manually start a new hive by taking half of the bees away. So if I see, what they will do is take one of those queen cups. The queen will lay an egg inside, and they will form a queen cell off it. Queen cell is larger, obviously, because the queen is larger. And okay, so a couple things. I see some drone bees. So here's one right here. Let me see if I can get one up. So the cool thing about drones is, so they're males. Their only purpose is to mate. They will leave the hive, go to mating fields to wait for a queen. And they can't sting you. So my younger son, sometimes I'll pick up a drone and let him, he wants to hold it, so I'll let him hold it. There's not a lot here yet, but let's see what's happening. So what I'm hoping, I set 2 frames in here. I'm hoping I'm going to find some more new brood, which would mean that the queen is still laying eggs and they're producing new brood, which is what we need. Right? I don't just want the old brood to be hatching out. So a little bit concerned because I don't see that at the moment. And that could mean that could actually be a problem. I thought that I had seen some new eggs the last time I was in here. So they've used a lot of the resources on here. I'm looking for the queen as I go. Now what I'm looking for is, and this is hard because I normally try and wear yellow glasses, but with these new bifocal lenses, that makes it hard. Okay, so a little concerning. There's a lot of bees in here, and they're doing their job, but I'm not seeing new brood on this frame, at least. I thought I had seen some new eggs, and I don't see the queen. So I'll give this side one last check again for the queen. If I see her, I'll clue you in here. Needle in a haystack, that's what it always is. Okay, so yeah, I'm not seeing her. And there's a bunch of bees right here. Sometimes that means the queen is under that. So I'm just going to encourage them to move around a little bit. All right, so I don't see the queen. And I also don't see eggs. So, yeah, that's concerning. But all of this was brewed and it is all hatched out. So here's what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to go ahead and I have these little hooks that I 3D printed. It makes my life a little bit easier. It's my goal for this year is to get an actual box to hold my equipment a little bit nicer. So I'm going to set this right there so they're out of the way. And we're going to go to the next frame. So I really want to see some eggs here. And if I don't, then that really just becomes a problem. Okay, so there is new, there are eggs okay, so there are eggs here. All right, so my guess is the queen's going to be on here. If I find her, I will try and show you. All right, so this is encouraging. What this means is, here's what I can see. And I'll try and bring the camera over in just a second. I don't see the queen here. Gently flip it over. And yeah, so the queen in this one is a little bit trickier to see. She is a slightly darker color, and she's not quite as big. So here's the interesting part. Okay, there are eggs at the bottom of some of these cells. So we're just going to keep an eye. Oh, there's more up there. Okay, so there's a pretty good laying pattern right there. Okay, so this tells me the queen is in here. She's alive. She's laying eggs. Maybe not quite as heavily as I would like, but that's okay. Okay, now I'm seeing more down here. So she is doing her job. I just would love to find her to show you the queen. Oh, there she is. Okay, so here is the queen. Let's see if we can make this happen. It'll be real gentle. So in the bottom corner, right there, she's literally in the corner walking around. You see she has like a black, she's underneath a bee right now. There she's coming out. That is the queen. There she is. I realize this is like there. I'll do it like this. It's a little bit. So they're taking care of her, doing their job. I want to be careful not to do too much with her because I don't want her to fly away. So, all right. So this is good. I see eggs. When I get the right angle, I see lots of eggs in here. So, really thankful. I feel really blessed that it appears at the moment that we've been able to help this queen. She stayed alive. The bees were able to sustain her. And there are, I just want to see if there's any eggs on here by chance. There's not. All right, so she's just doing her thing. So overall, this is really encouraging. Maybe not quite as much as I would hope. I would like to see her doing more, so we're gonna have to keep checking her. We'll do some more. Like again, I don't think I see eggs in this frame. And one thing is queens can be really choosy. The wax on this frame is getting pretty old and thick. She just might decide like, yeah, I'm good. So until she has some more bees, she might not lay eggs on these other frames. So I'm just going to check one or two of these other ones, which have honey. And you'll see that they're doing something similar. So they're eating out the bottom in preparation for hopefully her laying eggs, which hasn't happened yet. I don't see any eggs in there. All right. Overall, I'm encouraged. What I'm going to do is move this one over so that there are two. This frame is in pretty good shape. So my hope is she may be encouraged to start to use that. All right. So that's it. I needed to do that to see how things were going. Overall, I'm really encouraged. We went from maybe 100 or 200 bees total to a hive that there might be close to 6, 7, 8,000 bees in here at this point. Maybe not quite that many, but there's a lot. And I have a queen who is laying eggs, maybe not quite as much as I would like, but she almost died. Even though the weather's warm, they're just starting to bring in resources. What I will probably do next, once I'll check this again maybe within a week. Well, I'm going away next week. So maybe before I go away or as soon as I get back at the end of next week, I'll check, assuming that I see more brood. I will probably then, and the weather's warmed up, I will start to feed them sugar water. That will spur them to do more. I can get them to build more honeycomb, things like that. So, all right, really encouraged. I'm not going to go in the other hive. At least I don't think I am. Maybe I quickly would go down and see how that bee is doing. Yeah, maybe I'm going to do that real quick because I am really curious. But otherwise, that's that. Maybe I'll keep this going for my own sake. But bring this over here. So this is the other hive. Obviously, it's taller and bigger. And we should be able to check this one out in a span of about 5 minutes. Again, I don't care what's going on at the top. Essentially, with this one, there's really nothing going on down here. I will, in another week, I'll flip these because she's building brood in the second chamber, the second brood box. There's probably more bees up here. Yeah, so there's a lot more bees in this hive. They just have been healthy, really encouraging. And I took the honey from the other hive over here, so there's not quite as much. There's not quite as much honey over here, but they had a lot of honey down below. So yeah, just lots of bees walking around, having a good time. All right, so here's what I expect in this one. This queen is just like, I mean, really, she just has for 2 years now has been very strong, or this hive has been very strong brood laying hive. So I could check up here. I don't think that she would be laying anything up here. It looks like this is still mostly just honey. Yeah, it's just honey. She's not, if I'm not careful, she'll start to lay brood up here, but I don't see that happening yet. And that's good, because that's just annoying. When they lay brood up top, then it's really hard to move them around. Oh, she did. All right, so there's a lot of brood up here. Ah, it's so annoying. So I should have switched them around. It's annoying because, yeah, both sides of this entire frame, this entire thing, and you probably can't see it, but it is a black. There, yeah, I don't think I can figure out how to get this in. But the bottom of those, oh yeah, you can see it. See those little, there's like some eggs curled up. Looks like a little larva curled up there. And then at the bottom of some of them, there's little specks. They look like rice. And that little rice is the egg. So she has just gone to town up here. Here's why it's annoying, because brood, I want honey in these smaller frames. So when you get brood in them, I got to wait for that to hatch out. And then I got to put a queen excluder in here. It just honestly is annoying. And then this frame is like falling apart. So let's see. I don't see, well, but she's laid brood here too. Yeah, there's eggs on this frame. So yeah, just annoying. Oh well, this is what it is. But she is just a really prolific egg laying queen. Just fills a hive with brood. So it's very good in that respect. I'm thankful for it, but kind of annoying, to be honest with you. All right, now let me check this one. So my hope is, yeah, I have a couple frames that are like falling apart here. And she is just filling this hive with brood. So I took 2 frames out, and she's like, I'll show you. So yeah, she has filled this frame as well. Not on this side, but over here I see eggs down in there. So man, that's amazing. So that tells me a couple things. Here's the really cool part about that is this has just always been very healthy. I mean, for last, like I said, this would be a 3rd year, very healthy hive. So that's great. And it means I will be able to split this hive very quickly. Now, they didn't like that. I just pulled that apart. Put some smoke in there. So here's what we're going to do really quickly. I took these 2 frames out. I think it was these 2 frames out, and I took them over there. So I want to see what she's done in 2 weeks with these frames. So let's see what happened. I'll just make this really quick. Yeah, I just can't explain just how prolific this queen is. All right, so here's the deal. I'm going to very slowly pull this up because I don't want to hurt her. She's on here. So she's filled this. I moved this frame in here. It was essentially empty. Now you can see that she's filled it up. They've already capped some of the brood. There's lots of larvae in here. I don't see her. If I find her, I'll show you this queen as well, because she does look slightly different. Okay, so I don't see the queen here. I'm going to do this. I'm just going to very briefly set this down like that. Put the smoke over here so it's out of their way. And then I think it was this one. I only left like 1 or maybe 2 frames. So she's essentially filled this frame up as well. You can see all that. Lots and lots of brood. She's filled this side. Lots and lots of brood. So she's amazing. Great, great queen. Really thankful. Like I said, it means that I will be able to split this hive in the next maybe month or so, because she's doing great. And I'd rather end up with a couple hives early so they have lots of time to build up and grow. All right, I'm going to pull maybe 1 or 2 more frames out just to see if I can find her. But I'm not going to spend a lot of time because they're doing great. The weather's warm. I see lots of bees down below. It would be amazing if she had gone down to lay eggs, but I doubt that she has. Yeah, she's filled this one up. This is just amazing. I mean, she's just like, yeah, this is phenomenal. I cannot believe. So it really is a difference. I'm glad that I saw some eggs in that other hive, but this is a queen that can just fill a hive up with brood, and they have all the resources they need. She's just doing a great, great job. So, all right, that might be about it. Yeah, the one other thing I'll mention, very few drone in here yet. And you can just see 1 or 2 cells. I got to be careful I don't smush a bee and get stung here. These larger cells right there, those are not queen cells. If I can pull them apart, they kind of stick up out of the brood. Those right there, those larger ones, those are drones. So, like I said, we need male bees to mate with queens. And so I won't split a hive until I have more drones laying around, because that means they'll start to fly out. So, yeah, I mean, so she basically 2.5 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago, less than 2 weeks ago, there were essentially 2 frames of brood in here. She's already filled up at least 2 more. Oh, okay, Mr. B. And nope, don't see the queen on here either. All right. Yeah, just amazing. All right. How many times have I said that? Just amazing. She has probably gone down into the hive. Most of these queens, for me, if I take too long, they work their way away from me. Or she may be in that small one. I just didn't pull enough frames out because there's a lot of eggs up there. So it's all good. It's all good. Really amazing. And are there eggs in here? That one I can't tell if there's eggs in here. It might not be eggs in this one. So, okay. Very cool. That's what I wanted to know. And it looks good. I'm really encouraged. I think I'll wait till next time to go further down in this hive. Make sure she didn't magically appear on here. I don't see that. All right, well, there. You got to see a queen this time around. This whole frame is replete with eggs. All right, so this is one of the problems getting bees back in. I need enough room that I can slide this in without hurting many bees. And then we just take this and kind of wedge everyone back together so that they're centered in the hive. All right, cool. Well, that is a good news report. I'm excited. Let's see if I can get them to go back down so I can these to go down. All right, and then put this one on top of this one very gently. I could probably be more gentle when I do some of this stuff. All right, that's great. I wouldn't be surprised if she was actually up here and I just didn't look enough. There's just so many eggs in those 2 frames. But all right, so that'll be my next job. I will switch these 2 bottom boxes to encourage her to start to lay in this box again. So I'll bring it on top. I'm not sure what to do with these 2 frames. Honestly, I may wait till they get capped. And maybe I'll move them over to the other hive so they'd have yet again more bees to kind of keep things going. And then I'll put a queen excluder so she doesn't lay in here, because with the weather we've been having, we're going to start to get nectar and so forth, probably in the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks, from a number of things. And I want to be able to take advantage of that. So, all right, that is it. We'll close this up and get out to dinner. Say goodnight. I will be moving the bee videos over to a new channel because I really do have some some Postgres stuff. So it's a technology that I work with to start to post. It's just a whole lot easier if I keep things separated. But hopefully that's helpful. And yeah, it's fun to see things are working out.